Hey, what's up everybody, and welcome back to News Dose. So, we did have that big Nintendo Direct today where they talked about a lot of different games. We're going to talk a little bit about that later in the video and kind of give a summary of what happened there and also talk a little bit about my impressions for this event. If you want to skip straight over to that section, I absolutely understand. I do have a timestamp below, but we also did get some big news today regarding the Xbox Activision Blizzard acquisition. Without a doubt, this is an industry-changing acquisition, so there has been a lot of questions about what's going to happen going forward, especially in regards to exclusivity. Will these games be exclusive to Xbox going forward, or will they remain multi-platform? And Microsoft did actually today clear the air about this topic, and I think most of the community will be really happy with what they had to say, so make sure to stay tuned for all of that as well. To get things started off today, though, we're going to be talking about a leaked Ubisoft game coming from the Assassin's Creed franchise. This is being reported by Bloomberg and also being backed up by Eurogamer, so there is a reason to believe that this is actually true. And reportedly, from what they're saying, this is going to be a smaller scoped Assassin's Creed game than what we're used to seeing. Though I don't really view that as a bad thing, which I'll kind of get back to here in just a second. But this new Assassin's Creed game was originally planned to be DLC for Valhalla, but eventually turned into its own standalone game. So this game very much is connected to Valhalla, and in fact, you do play as Basim, which, interestingly enough, I have seen people claim in the past that he should have been the main protagonist anyways. So this could actually turn out to be interesting, especially as this game is going to be focused a little bit more on its stealth-based gameplay. That's one thing about the Assassin's Creed franchise, though, because I do feel like they've kind of gotten away from being an actual assassin. But here they can kind of rectify that, especially focusing a little bit more on that stealth-based gameplay. Now, the other part about this, though, as I said previously, is that it's supposed to be a smaller scope game, but like I said, I don't really view that as a bad thing. One of the big complaints that I have often seen with recent Assassin's Creed games is that they do feel a little bloated. You know, if you look at the original Assassin's Creed games, the first Assassin's Creed game was around 15 hours. Assassin's Creed 2 was around 19 hours. Brotherhood, 15 hours. Assassin's Creed 3 was 16 hours. But here with Valhalla, I mean, that is a 60-hour-long game. Now, if you're into overly long games, I mean, sure, that's fine, but there has definitely been a complaint with how long these games have become over the years. So I am kind of interested to see what Ubisoft kind of considers as a smaller scope game. Is that below 10 hours, or is that basically the same time as we've seen with the original Assassin's Creed games? Either way, both sounds much more interesting to me than a 60-hour-long game, as typically I don't like when games are that long. Nonetheless, though, this new Assassin's Creed game is supposedly supposed to release sometime in late 2022 or maybe even in 2023. Next up, we did get some new details on the Steam Deck. For a lot of people, they are still kind of waiting for some more information before they decide to confirm their pre-orders for the Steam Deck. And while we are still waiting for the review embargo to lift, we are getting some small details from different outlets, including the load times for the SD card as well as the battery life. Both of these are very important aspects of the Steam Deck, and in both situations, they do vary quite a bit. I guess we'll first kind of start off here with the good news, and that would be with those SD cards. I do feel like a lot of people will be using an SD card for a lot of the games on the Steam Deck, just because there's not really a ton of space on the solid-state drive that comes with the Steam Deck, especially the less expensive options. So an SD card will be a great way to expand storage, though the big question is, how will games run on the SD card and how much slower will they load? And right now, based off the games that have been tested, which are limited, it does vary a bit, but it does seem like there's not a major difference in terms of load times with several of these games. This is coming from Linus Tech Tips and the Fox, which found that load times for games like Dead Cells and Street Fighter V are almost identical, with the longest delay being around 2 seconds long. However, games like Portal 2 and Ghost Runner did take a little bit longer to load on the micro SD, with the longest delay coming in at around 17 seconds. So it does vary a bit, but still, this is surprisingly and very welcome results for the micro SD card. Now, as for battery life, this is where things are a little bit more shaky for the Steam Deck. Gamers Nexus did run a battery test using several different games on the Steam Deck, and it varied drastically. Now, this shouldn't come as a major surprise, but games that did consume more power, such as Devil May Cry 5, did eat up the battery quite fast on the Steam Deck, but how fast, that is the question. They did run Devil May Cry 5 with uncapped frame rate and VSync disabled, and with those settings, it only lasted 87 minutes. And that was with brightness set to 50%, so that is not ideal. Now, however, when they did enable VSync, it did last a full 2 hours, but still, it doesn't seem like the battery life is going to be exceptional with some of these more powerful games. Now, for less demanding games such as Dead Cells, this is where it seems to really have excelled, where it got 6 hours of battery life with VSync enabled. So again, it really just seems like what type of settings you're going to be running on these games and how much power each game is going to consume. It will vary quite a bit. Let's go ahead and move on over to some big news for Xbox, or really just the entire game industry, and that would be in regards to the Activision Blizzard acquisition. Really, the big question with this acquisition has always been, will these games be exclusive to Xbox going forward, or will they remain multi-platform? Now, we saw what they did with Bethesda. Those games will be exclusive to Xbox going forward. So will they do the same thing with Activision Blizzard? That's what everybody wants to know. And well, today, Microsoft did clear the air with a big blog post titled Adapting Ahead of Regulations. They do talk about a lot of different things here, including the Activision Blizzard acquisition, and let's go ahead and take a look at their official statement. They say, to be clear, Microsoft will continue to make Call of Duty and other popular Activision Blizzard titles available on PlayStation through the term of any existing agreement with Activision. And we have committed to Sony that we will also make them available on PlayStation beyond the existing agreement and into the future so that Sony fans can continue to enjoy the games they love. We are also interested in taking similar steps to support Nintendo's successful platform. We believe this is the right thing for the industry, for gamers, and for our business. So there you have it. It looks like Microsoft will indeed be taking a different approach with this Activision Blizzard acquisition, and this is looking good for everybody in the game industry. This is good for PlayStation and Nintendo, and not just because these games will remain on PlayStation and Nintendo. There's a little bit more going on here, which I'll cover here in just a second, but it's also great, of course, for Xbox fans. The main benefit will be for you Xbox Game Pass subscribers out there, which these games will launch directly into Xbox Game Pass going forward, as that's what Microsoft does with their first-party games. So this will drive Xbox Game Pass growth while also giving Activision Blizzard a brighter future. And this is what I was talking about by this is better for everybody involved. It's better for Nintendo, it's better for PlayStation, and it's most certainly better for Xbox. And this is something that I have continued to say about this acquisition. The one thing I don't like hearing is that this acquisition is bad for the game industry, because just a couple weeks ago, people despised Activision Blizzard. They did not treat their employees well. They lacked in variety and creativity because they were shoehorning 10 plus of their studios on Call of Duty. Studios like Toys for Bob couldn't work on the next Crash Bandicoot game because they were focusing on Call of Duty. With this acquisition from Microsoft, though, all of that changes. We're already hearing them talk about less Call of Duty games and bringing back beloved franchises. So suddenly, a new Crash Bandicoot game, a new Spyro the Dragon game, or even a game like Hexen, suddenly these games have become much more likely to be made. And now, it sounds like they could also possibly be on multiple platforms. So this really is better for everybody. And I think years from now, we're going to kind of look back at this acquisition and realize that Microsoft might have actually saved a big part of the game industry. This could have turned out to be really bad. We know that Activision Blizzard was looking to sell and that they had talked to some big companies such as Facebook. And I imagine that they might have talked to others such as Google, Amazon, or even Apple. And if any of those companies would have acquired them, I feel like there would be a lot more concern right now. But with Microsoft acquiring them instead and them having Xbox, now it seems like everybody's going to kind of benefit from this acquisition. And you can see that Activision Blizzard does indeed have a bright future. Now, there is one silver lining with this statement, though. They very specifically mentioned that popular franchises will release on PlayStation and Nintendo, but they don't actually make any mention of new IP. So that does leave the door open for new IP to be exclusive exclusive to Xbox, but we'll kind of have to see about all of that. Everything just kind of remains up in the air when it comes to new IP, but that is a possibility. Nonetheless, though, I do think that Activision Blizzard has an exciting future ahead of them under new leadership, and now we just got to see this acquisition get completed. There has been some questions about will this acquisition be approved, but with this statement here, I think it's even more likely that this will be approved, and for that matter, the blog post was very specifically titled, "Adapting Ahead of Regulation." Okay, so let's go and talk about today's Nintendo Direct, because they had a lot of games to talk about here. In fact, they talked about 40 different games in 40 minutes, several of which were actually quite surprising, especially some of these games that are coming a little bit sooner than what was expected. Now, I'm not going to be able to talk about every single game at this event, obviously, so what I'm going to do here is talk about some of the big highlights, and then after that, we'll kind of talk about all of the different release dates that they announced here. So with that in mind, we'll first kind of focus on the big first-party games that they announced here, including Fire Emblem Warriors 3 Hopes. Now, we had been hearing that they had been making a new Fire Emblem game for a little while now. We have talked about this on the channel, but 3 Hopes is actually linked to 3 Houses. It does use the same characters, and it's also set in the same world. So if you like 3 Houses, this is something that you're probably going to want to pay attention to. It combines Fire Emblem with the Dynasty Warriors franchise. We saw them do this with Zelda as well, so this is an interesting little combination here. And this one is actually releasing very soon, as in on June 24th. Like I said, some of these games are coming out a little bit sooner than expected, but this one is right around the corner. Another big surprise game here, though, would be Xenoblade 3. Now, this is yet another game that we have heard about and we've talked about it on this channel, but even as of yesterday, I said that I did not expect this one to be announced at this particular event because they were focusing on games that was going to release in the first half of 2022. From everything that we had been hearing, it sounded like Xenoblade 3 got pushed back to 2023, but, well, about that, they did actually reveal Xenoblade 3 here, and it's coming out in September. That was a huge surprise. I was not expecting it, but I absolutely love it. The Xenoblade franchise has kind of cemented itself as being one of the better JRPG franchises, especially in modern day times. Xenoblade Chronicles 1 and 2 are viewed as all-time greats depending on who you ask. Xenoblade X, which is the odd one out here, as it's unfortunately still stuck on the Wii U, but nonetheless, the Xenoblade franchise overall has been absolutely fantastic, and to see a new installment come out in 2022, that already makes the Switch lineup look so much better. That's the thing about this Nintendo Direct, because that was the big thing we wanted to know. We wanted to know more release dates after Kirby and A Forgotten Land, and they really filled that out, especially here with Xenoblade Chronicles 3. Really, though, if you are a fan of JRPGs, you had to have come away from this Nintendo Direct very, very happy. I'm going to kind of touch up on that a little bit more here in a bit, but we still do have a few more big Nintendo Switch first-party games. They did bring back a few of their sports games, one being Mario Strikers Battle League, and then the other one would be Nintendo Switch Sports. Now, I'm not necessarily a big fan of motion controls, and I don't really care for Wii Sports per se, but at the same time, this was an incredibly popular game back on the Wii. Wii Sports is actually one of the big reasons that the Nintendo Wii had so much success in the first place. This game kind of focused a little bit more on a casual crowd, and it just took off. So I do think that this is a great game to bring back, and I also believe that there's a little bit of nostalgia for these games now that it's been so many years later. It does bring back some of the fan favorite game modes such as tennis, and it also has bowling, but it also has some new game modes as well, including badminton, volleyball, as well as soccer. This game will be releasing on April 29th, and they're also planning to support this game post-release with some other updates, including golf, which will be releasing sometime this fall. Now, if you do want to play this game a little bit earlier, they will be having an online playtest through February 18th to the 20th. Now, as for Mario Strikers Battle League, though, this is an exciting game to bring back. Nintendo seems to be trying to bring back some of these sports games. We saw that last year with Mario Golf Super Rush, and now here we're seeing them bring back Mario Strikers. I actually really liked Mario Strikers back on the GameCube, so I do think that this is a pretty exciting one. It will be releasing on June 10th. Hey, if they are being serious about bringing back some of these sports games, though, maybe they should take a look at Mario Sluggers as well. That was another one that I had a lot of fun with back on the GameCube. Moving on, this one might be a little bit smaller, but this is something that Nintendo fans have been asking for such a long time, but they now have officially confirmed that both Earthbound and Earthbound Beginnings will be coming over to the Nintendo Switch. If you have a Nintendo Switch Online subscription, you can actually play this one today. This was kind of rumored all morning that they were going to announce it, but there you have it. Earthbound finally is coming over to the Nintendo Switch. Now, if we could only get some other games such as Super Mario RPG, that would be a great one to bring over to Nintendo Switch Online, but it is really nice to see them listen to their fans here and finally bring Earthbound over to Switch Online. That automatically makes Nintendo Switch Online just a little bit better. Now, one other interesting announcement that they made here regarding their first-party games was actually related to Mario Kart. Okay, so there's been a lot of rumors about Mario Kart 9 incoming, and I've been a little skeptical over this topic because I don't know if it necessarily makes sense for Nintendo to release a new Mario Kart game on the Nintendo Switch. With Mario Kart 8 Deluxe selling as well as it is, and it doesn't really seem like it's slowing down at all, it's not really necessary for them to release a brand new Mario Kart game. However, here they actually did something really smart as they announced a Mario Kart 8 Deluxe Booster Course Pass. So what this is where they're going to remaster several old Mario Kart tracks and bring them over to Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. It is paid DLC that will cost $25, and they're going to be releasing these in waves starting March 18th, and this will go all the way into 2023, where they will be releasing 48 different courses. That is a lot of content that will breathe new life into Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. This way they can keep Mario Kart 8 Deluxe going through the Nintendo Switch generation. I do think that this is a very smart move by Nintendo. Still though, I do understand that some people would much prefer a completely new installment to the Mario Kart franchise, but this is still a lot of courses for a great overall game. Now, beyond the big first-party announcements, though, there was also some really good-looking third-party games here, especially for you JRPG fans. Chrono Cross Remaster has now officially been confirmed. We have talked about this several times, and now here it is. They've officially confirmed it, and it will release on April 7th. Really hoping that this one will get a physical edition, but equally as cool, they also announced Live Alive HD 2D. Now, this is a JRPG that I have heard a lot about over the years, as apparently it's supposed to be really good, but for whatever reason, it just never released outside of Japan. Well, here it is, and on top of that, it is sporting that 2D HD look. This is something that we are starting to see Square Enix play around with a little bit more. It was made popular by Octopath Traveler, but they've since used it in other games such as Dragon Quest, and now here with Live Alive 2D HD. Really excited for this one, and it will be releasing on July 22nd. And about that, let's go and list all of the games that was talked about here alongside their release dates. Fire Emblem 3 Hopes will be releasing on June 24th. Then you have Advance Wars Reboot Camp. It's got an official release date now for April 8th. No Man's Sky will be coming to the Switch this summer. Mario Strikers Battle League, June 10th. They did reveal a new trailer for Splatoon 3 and its cooperative mode, Salmon Run Next Wave. That will be releasing this summer. Front Mission First Remake is coming this summer. Front Mission 2 Remake will be coming out sometime in the future. Disney Speedster will be releasing summer as a free-to-play kart racing game. Star Wars Force Unleashed will be coming out April 20th. Assassin's Creed Ezio Collection, February 17th. SD Gundam Battle Alliance will be releasing sometime in 2022. Chrono Cross Remaster, as we just talked about, will be releasing April 7th. Kirby and the Forgotten Land, of course, that's March 25th. MLB The Show 22 will be coming to the Nintendo Switch for the first time, releasing on April 5th. Kingdom Hearts Collection, that will be out tomorrow on February 10th. Then we also have a few really cool collections here, being Klonoa Reverie Series. This is a rumored game that we also talked a lot about. It will be releasing on July 8th. Then the Portal Collection, one of my favorite franchises of all time, that will be releasing sometime in 2022. Live Alive HD 2D, July 22nd. Nintendo Switch Sports, April 29th. Taiko no Tatsujin will be releasing sometime in 2022. Triangle Strategy just got a new demo today. Cuphead, The Delicious Last Course will be releasing June 30th. Metroid Dread will be getting a couple of updates, one being a Dread mode and Rookie mode that will be releasing today, and then a Boss Rush mode sometime in April. Then you have Earthbound Earthbound and Earthbound Beginnings, that's releasing today. Mario Kart 8 Booster Course will be releasing on March 18th. It'll be lasting up to 2023. Xenoblade 3, that's releasing in September. Then you have Zombie Army 4, April 26th. Getsu Fumiden, that's a cool looking Konami game that's releasing, well, actually today. Then you have Demon Slayer, that's June 10th. Lego Brawls sometime in June. And then last but not least, you have 2 Point Campus on May 17th. Yeah, 40 games in 40 minutes. It was a lot of content, but there you have it. Truthfully, I think this was a good Nintendo Direct. There was a few surprises here, and while I am a little disappointed that we didn't get an official confirmation for that Metroid Prime remake, I'm still hoping that we will get that later this year, hopefully at that E3 Nintendo Direct. Let's go and move on over to the poll of the day, though, and Platinum Games now wants to go back and revive Scalebound. They seem very serious about this situation and stated that they do want to talk with Phil Spencer about reviving Scalebound together. So with that in mind, I wanted to ask you all, do you think Xbox should give Scalebound another chance and revive it? And most of you all absolutely seem on board with this, with 66% of you saying yes, while only 23% of you said no. Now, I did see some of you all in the comments say that you would like Scalebound to return, but you would rather a different studio to work on it instead of Platinum Games. With this being a very public cancellation in the past, Platinum Games did eventually come out and say that they were a big part of why it was canceled, and they just were not able to execute on the vision that Xbox and Platinum Games wanted with Scalebound. At the same time, though, I think Platinum Games is a very talented studio, especially with hack and slash games. They've done a good job on a lot of different games, including Bayonetta. Nier Automata was absolutely amazing. They have Astral Chain. There's also Metal Gear Rising. So they do know how to make good games. It just seems like they, for whatever reason, could not execute on Scalebound. Now, there's some different rumors as to the reasons why, but if they've learned from those mistakes and they have a true vision for how they can make this game better going forward, I'd be up for them to get another chance. I think Scalebound has a lot of potential, and it really was one of the most disappointing cancellations that I can remember. And yeah, I'd love to see this game make a comeback, and it absolutely seems like you all would as well. Anyways, though, that's it for this episode, but if you liked the video, don't forget the bell notification and subscribe button for more content just like this. Also, if you'd like to support the channel through Patreon, thank you for making this content possible. Peace out.